Hello, everybody. I am Sammy for Team the Dragon Team here today, and today we're doing regionals interviews. And today we're doing an interview with Kyle Thacker, who managed to make top 32 and Georgia regionals. So,
Hello,
yeah,
how's it going? That is Kyle Faker, by the way.
Baker, you told me this last time. I'm sure if you ever do another interview with me again, I'll probably
You'll
mispronounce the name
find a
again.
new way to mispronounce it.
Watch, I will. Ugh.
It's okay.
But,
I just hopefully some people watch and remember.
alright. But
Anyway,
anyway, before we get too much into it, why did you decide to go into week two of regionals with Mega Ray deck? With this Mega Ray deck?
well, two things basically. I mentioned in that previous interview I really wanted to play Mega Ray at States,
Yes, you
and
did.
then unable to. Um, so I was looking for any excuse to play it in Georgia, but I wasn't inclined to play it unless I was convinced that was a reasonably solid call.
Hmm.
So I tested it with some friends, and I felt pretty comfortable with a lot of the matchups. I felt like it had a pretty good matchup against Darkness decks. I figured it would pretty much smash the Turbo Dark decks, and it was had an edge against the Eveltal Maxi decks. Essentially, if they hit you with like turn one Archeop Silent Lab, that
Uh,
could be bad. Or turn one Silent Lab gets this, but you had outs to those plays, and if they didn't get that going, you would usually just build a Mega Ray and steamroll them.
yeah.
Trevenant was okay if they didn't run hammers. If you opened like Hoopa or Lysander or like Jirachi and like a couple of other cards that were playable, you usually were able to set up and then just 220 HP is a lot. And
Yeah.
I figured that those would be popular decks. Um, and I figured, it's a quick deck. You can win a lot of things just by hexing a lot. So a lot of kind of lower tier decks that might pop up, I'd probably be able to handle.
Yeah.
Night March was abysmal, and was just prepared to accept that. Um, Sable Eye was pretty abysmal. Also figured that wouldn't be a factor. Um, so then the only thing left to figure out was Primal Groudon. And I was not sure how big Primal Groudon would be, but we did a lot of testing before Week One results came out, and Primal Groudon did have a big showing in Florida regionals, so we were uncomfortable ignoring it. So essentially, the idea was if I could solve Primal Groudon, I'd play the deck.
Yeah. And so that kind of goes to the variant you're playing. You're playing the and like a variant that I've never really heard of it, an Espeon variant with Psychic Energy and of course Espeon. I've normally seen like with the Jolteon and a couple other variants, Steel variants, stuff like that, but never seen like people play Espeon. So did the so I'm guessing Espeon was for Primal Groudon?
Yeah, Espeon was we tested a lot of Primal Groudon techs. We tested the Dark Explorer's Carnivine with the was it Lure Poison, I think.
Wow,
We
that's an
test
obscure one.
we tested the Tool Jammer Banette to shut off the Focus Sash, and that also let you use the Shuppet to lay away their strongs consistently. But that wasn't so great because they could just hex you when they wanted to kill you, and then you couldn't really do anything about it. Um, we tested. What else did we test? We tested the Plasma Freeze Chattet with that makes you discard all tools. That was a more awkward one. Didn't test that one very much. We did test it briefly.
Yeah.
But
Wow,
the
you're
Espeon was the one that ended up sticking.
Wow, like
So,
you're like just mentioning a lot of obscure options that I've never really heard of too much. I mean, I know what all these cards do, but like I'm just never really like, wow, these are some obscure options.
we went deep trying to beat Groudon. I was
Okay.
very afraid of Groudon. I figured if I could make Groudon work, I'd feel just super confident in the play. So we spent a lot of time trying to crack Groudon. Espeon actually turned out to be really effective because the idea is you just use Espeon's first attack. I don't remember what it's called, but
Miraculous
you just
Shine.
there we go, and you just keep devolving them because they don't run the Spirit Links typically, and so you just keep devolving their Groudon, and you put them in a position where they can never attack with the Groudon. And there are a lot of different ways that could go, but essentially we mapped it out, and any way it went usually put them in a really unfavorable trade, and we came out ahead in the long run. Like they would be like maybe they'd be forced to attack with the regular Groudon.
Yeah.
Well, if that happens, we can zero stick the Focus Sash and then one shot him with a Mega Ray. Even if they one shot Espeon with the Groudon, we still take 2 prizes, and we traded a 1 energy attacker for a 4 energy Groudon. That's advantage.
Yeah,
Or
that's actually pretty clever.
if they decide to go Regirock, because they usually run the one Regirock,
Yeah.
then Regirock can 2-shot either Espeon or Mega Ray if they flip heads in one of the 2 attacks.
Yeah.
They have to have like 1 or 2 strongs. I don't remember, but the idea is you have an Espeon with an energy. You can build a Rayquaza at any point. They hit you with either Espeon or Rayquaza, and you can hit them with your attacker, and then finish them off with the other one if they kill you. And then all the resources they've sunk into that Regirock are now gone, and Mega Ray can rebuild more easily than they can. Or if they ran the Spirit Link, then they don't have a Focus Sash attached, and you can just one shot them for 240.
Wow.
So there were a lot of ways that could play out, but essentially, if we could get Espeon out onto the field within the first few turns of the game using the Devolution attack, then usually it forced them into a bad trade no matter what they tried to do.
Wow. That's actually
And
pretty
also,
clever.
we also banked on the Groudon players not entirely knowing how to handle the Espeon at first, because we also theory mined the Espeon a lot. We had all these strategies for dealing with it, and we figured there's a good chance that people will misplay against it, and that'll give us some openings.
Oh yeah.
So otherwise, that the list is super standard. Like I think the list is like, aside from the basic energy, it's like 2 cards removed from Ryan Peterson's top 8 lists from Florida regionals.
Wow.
He ran a Toad and a Virizion with Grass Energy, and I ran an Espeon and then an extra supporter instead of the extra Pokemon with Psychic Energy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. A quick question before we get into like the matches you played. Why did you? There's another Pokemon that popped to my mind that might have actually had a decent matchup. Did you test Glaceon at all?
Glaceon was not legal for week 2.
You're right. My bad. Would you have tried playing Glaceon or no?
It might be worth considering. I'm concerned about its viability as a Groudon tech because it doesn't really pressure Groudon very
Good
much,
point.
and they can just chill on the bench behind. They can just chill on the bench behind Wobbuffet and Robosub until they're ready to come up and kill something meaningful. So,
Uh,
another thing is we ran Psychic Energy exclusively so Espeon could attack Wobbuffet in the Groudon matchup because it's relevant. Anytime they're not threatening an attack with a primal, you just Psyshock a Wobbuffet, take a prize. And we kind of mapped it out so you take 2 prizes off Wobbuffet, and then, if necessary, 4 prizes off Pokemon EX.
oh,
But
that's
sometimes you just ran them out of resources, or just like pressure them too much, where they were forced to send up a Groudon because they didn't have anything else.
wow. That's extremely thought out.
And we also the reason we didn't run the Jolteon, because actually a lot of people ended up running Jolteon, was because we figured that Jolteon was theoretically a good Night March counter, but we found it,
Theoretically.
well, it's Night March, right?
Yeah.
Just too many things can stop a Jolteon, especially with Mega Ray that has a big bench. They can just like Lysander around it for 6 prizes. They
Mm-hmm.
can do the escape rope catcher or escape rope Lysander play. They can play Gallade. So many. So Night March is still abysmal. Like at best, maybe we had a 30% chance of that matchup. And I did like I didn't like Jolteon as a tech for that matchup. And then the other matchups for which Jolteon is good, like the Dark Decks, the I guess is just the Yveltal and the Darkrai decks. What else
Mm-hmm.
could Jolteon be good for? I guess Rainbow Road, but that wasn't really on our radar too much. Those matchups we figured we already won consistently enough that Jolteon just kind of felt win more. So we decided to take the insurance and shore up Primal Groudon, which we were afraid of.
Nice, nice. So let's go into the actual event. What did you play against in round one?
Round 1, I played against a Giratina Bronzong deck.
Giratina. Bronzong, Tyrantrum, Major Slash, that fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it was a great start for the tournament because she went first and she did whatever she did and had an active Aegis Slash, and I had the perfect Mega Ray opening and I was able to get set up, fill my bench, play a Hex, one shot it.
Oof.
So I was like, this is a great start to my tournament. I'm feeling good.
Yeah. As a Guillotine and Bronzong, Tyrantrum, Major Slash player myself, whenever I see a Rayquaza, I just go, because honestly, you just need so much to kill the Mega Rayquaza, while Mega Rayquaza just kind of laughs and goes, ha, easy peasy.
Hex.
Yeah, Hex,
Hex.
Hex, Hex, Lysander, Hex, GG. Not to mention you have Espeon that makes the matchup even a little bit more nerve-wracking.
I'm not sure Espeon actually does anything in that matchup.
You're right, no, it doesn't.
That's the thing.
Because,
Espeon does nothing in any other matchup other than Primal Groudon, except for the really fringe situations where like you hit like a Mega and don't quite KO it, or maybe like you play against a random Greninja player that gets like 4 rare candy Greninjas on turn 2. Other than that really obscure stuff, Espeon just doesn't do anything except against Groudon.
yeah, it might actually do something like against like a mega deck that like does not have a like not a mega deck but like well a mega deck when they like don't put like the spirit link where they can't find the spirit link, but then again they can just find the spirit link later, so that meant that
Exactly.
yeah. So yeah,
The
that was
big
go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
All right, so that you basically had a fairly easy, fairly favorable round one matchup. What did you play against in round two?
Round two, I played against Turbo Dark, and it was pretty smooth. I just did Mega Ray things.
Yeah.
I noticed three kind of schools of thought about Turbo Dark. There was just the kind of the straightforward list that ran the reverse valleys, and I wasn't crazy about that list. And then there was like I guess this is like the version that the Lesages made up in Canada with the lasers and Verbanks, and they ran the Tech Sableye. And I liked that a whole lot more. It had a lot more damage potential and just could do some crazy things. And then there was, which I thought was the best meta call, the version that ran Silent Lab, double Parallel City,
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that too.
and I ended up playing against all three variants over the weekend.
That's fun. So, yeah. So you did Mega Ray things. I actually have a little bit question about Espeon and against like dark decks that like to run Gallade and stuff. Does Espeon actually make people who play Gallade and Archeops like take the entire card off the bench, or what is the ruling
No,
on that?
no, because they're considered unevolved Pokemon. They're considered
Uh,
they're considered like an unevolved stage two, so they just stay on the bench. Nothing happens.
okay. I was just slightly curious about that. All right, so you're 2-0 going to round three. What do you play there?
I played against Christian Ortiz, who's
Pretty good.
kind of a friend of mine, and he ended up winning the whole event. And he was playing Trevenant Hammers,
Ooh.
which is a very gross matchup. Standard Trevenant's okay, but when the hammers come into play, it just falls apart.
So I'm gonna go ahead and guess like Trevenant won there.
So game one, he went first, opened Shaman, attached an energy, played red card, and passed. And I donked him.
Oh
Oh no, actually
wow!
he opened Mewtwo game one. Game two, he goes first, opens Shaman, attaches an energy, plays red card, passes again.
So
But I
basically, he
but I
just
whiffed the donk.
oh
Next turn he top decks Sycamore, and he ends up winning the next two games. Moral of the story.
oh oh that sucks. So like you meet with the donkey, you just end up losing the whole entire darn thing. And you the back of your mind going, if only I killed him when I had the chance.
It wasn't even like when I saw him open with Mewtwo, attach a Psychic, play red card. I figured it was Trev Hammers because they
Uh,
go with the heavy disruption and they play the Mewtwo, but I didn't actually know what he was playing until game two on his second turn when he actually gets a identifying basic. He benched his first Phantom,
yeah.
but I mean it was fine. He's a cool guy, and it was a fun kind of laid back set. We had a joke going where because Lysander's like the key card in that matchup for me,
Yeah.
and he would like he knew I had it in my hand because I versed Secret for it the turn before, and he said red card, and then I topped it kind of like, oh, here's my red card, and it was dumb, but so yeah, that was round three.
Alright, so
He
round
won.
four. Yeah, round four going 3-1, no 2-1. pretty good record. What do you face in round four?
Round four, I hit William Herman, who was playing just straight Trevenant Wobbuffet, and that's a matchup I'm more confident in. Um, we ended up tying the set, but it's one of those situations where like I basically had game in one more turn because I was kind of salty about that. But what am I going to do? He was a cool guy and he was a good player, and it just happened. You know, it was one of those like I managed to build a Mega Ray with just basic psychic energy, three basic psychics on a Mega Ray, and I had three prizes left to Lysander in my hand. He ends me, and I top deck off the end Lysander double puzzle of time.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm able to grab a shaman off the bench, play the double puzzles, thin my deck, get everything I need for the next turn of the game, even if he ends me, and go down to one prize. And he would need to pull off like a miracle to take down that fresh Mega Ray when I have such a thin deck with so many good cards in it. But I didn't have that one extra turn, so that's Pokemon.
It's Pokemon. We've all been there, done that. So you're 2-2-1. It's kind of
2-1-1.
yeah, 2-1. That's kind of like a weird position to be in. Like you're doing pretty good at this point, but I'm kind of I guess at the back of my mind going, I have to kind of play near to perfect if I want to get top 32 at this point, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of the position I was in Florida States. I didn't quite have to win out, but I had to pull it together. I really had to win a lot of games from there.
Right.
I had 5 rounds left, and the at that point we weren't 100% sure, but we figured that 18 was the bubble zone and 19 was safe.
Mm-hmm.
So I was shooting for at least 19 points.
All right. So round five, how did that go? What did you play there?
Round 5, I got paired up against Sableye, a deck that I had just figured would not have an impact on the tournament, and it
Oh,
didn't. I just kind of that's the thing when you're in like the kind of middle tables in the middle of the tournament, you just kind of hit the weird shit.
yeah.
And I hit Sableye Garbodor.
How did that go for you?
I tried. I didn't get a great start game one, and I kind of hit a point early on where I realized I was playing. I would be best off playing for the tie.
Mm-hmm.
Just because did not like my odds of winning 2 games in a row against that deck. So I figured I would just let game one take its time, go as long as possible, and then just try to see if I could like steal a win in game two or something. So he did Sableye things in game one. He eventually decked me out, but it was a long game. I made him do everything. I just kind of drew and passed. Didn't play any cards.
Hmm.
Attacked when I had the energy to do it, but that didn't happen much. And yeah, he decked me out. Game two, I was able to keep a real small bench, just 3 Pokemon. It was a Keldeo with a float stone, I think a Shaman with a float stone, and an Espeon on the bench because I started with it.
Huh.
And then I just put every energy I drew onto Mega Ray, and I got a couple puzzles going. So I just had a ton of energy in the deck, and it hit the point where I had a Mega Ray with like 5 energy on it, something like that. And he ended up not being able to deal with the consistent pressure, and he ended up actually decking himself out.
Oh wow.
And then game three just didn't even start. Like time got called while we were setting up, and we just didn't even bother playing it out. That was a tie.
Oh,
So I was, in contrast to the last round, I felt like I escaped with my life with that tie. I was not salty about that. Felt like a win.
oh, that's always nice. So after round five, you're 2-1-2. You're basically one out position, correct?
Right. If I won out, I'd be in solid. If I won if I won out and tied one, if I won 3 and tied one, I would be in the bubble position, and if I lost one, I was out.
So you
So
could
that,
not lose from this point on.
and if I tied one, I'd be iffy.
Yeah. So round six, how did that go?
Round six, I'm trying to remember which one round six was. Round six. Round six, I played up against another Turbo Dark deck.
Okay.
So that was a nice break after a few grindy matchups against Trevenant and Sableye.
I
And
bet.
both games, I kind of started out slow, and he got ahead. But just Mega Ray is so hard to kill and makes such a strong board that I was able to make a comeback and overrun him.
Yeah.
Also, this was the first game where I had like a late game Skyla for the win.
Yeah.
Skyla was a late inclusion, but Skyla was amazing. I'm so glad I ran it. Um, and essentially, I needed to KO a Darkrai with a focus with a Fighting Fury belt. That's the one.
Yeah.
And he ended me to 2. Um, and he had game in hand. And I off the end of 2, I got like I think I don't remember if I had Skyfield in play, but I or if I top deck Skyfield, but I had access to Skyfield and I had a Jirachi. But in my discard, I had Lysander was in there, Colress was in there, Zero Sick for the Fury Belt was in there. All those are outs to win, and they were all in the discard, and so Jirachi couldn't get them. I'm like, okay, well, this sucks. I guess I'll just grab N and hope for the best because
Yeah.
it's the only thing I can do. And so I played Josh. Went for Stellar Guidance. Saw Skyla. Realized that I had the win and played Skyla for Ultra Ball for Hoopa. Filled up my bench. Hit for 240.
Woo!
So
That sounds awesome.
Skyla was the best supporter to have in an opening hand a lot of the time. Skyla was a great turn 2 supporter because it could grab you your missing piece, the Skyfield, the Spirit Link, the Mega Turbo, what have you.
Ultra Ball.
And I think 3 times this weekend, Skyla grabbed me the Ultra Ball for the second hoop in my deck for the last push.
Nice.
So
So yeah,
felt good.
so yeah, you beat Turbo Darkrai. So you're 3-1-2.
Yes.
And you're going to like I believe, yeah, the last 3 games. This is like the last stretch of the tournament. This is where a lot of people start feeling a bit tired and fatigue. How did you feel at this point?
I was tired after about round 4. By the time I hit Sableye, I was dead.
Oh,
Even if I was feeling good, just playing a full 50 minutes against Sableye will do it to you.
yeah.
So, yeah, I was kind of running on fumes. We had a lunch break, but I didn't eat anything, so I was just kind of like, just get this over with.
But did playing Turbo Darkrai and beating that, did that rejuvenated you at all? Do you
Oh,
think?
definitely a little bit. It coming off of a loss and 2 ties, getting a just a solid win against a good matchup, it always feels good. It's always invigorating.
Yeah.
That was like at Florida State's where I was kind of disillusioned. Then I hit a Mega Manectric playing Night March, and I was like, okay, now it's just my deck gets to do its thing, and it feels good.
Yeah. Whenever you're like just kind of just run down and then you place like kind of a turbo match, you go, okay, I feel better now.
Pretty much.
All right, so round 7. What did you play there?
Round 7, I played up against Yveltal Maxis, and we end up we end up tying rip, but
Oh,
I don't remember exactly. I think one game I opened without much playable, and I played against so many darkness decks. It's all blurring together.
yeah.
But I know we played 3 games. One game I opened with something with a relatively unplayable hand. I think he got Archeops, and I just scooped. I didn't want to bother grinding it out.
Yeah.
And then game 2 was pretty much a blowout. I got enough Mega Ray things going. Fright Night wasn't able to stop me, so that's kind of just how the matchup goes. And then game 3, I got off to a good start. Had a Shaman, a decent setup. I used setup, and then I just proceeded to have like 8 unplayable cards in the top of my deck. But he had nothing playable either, so he couldn't capitalize. So we were both just kind of drawing and passing back and forth.
Oh, those
And
are the best.
eventually he got into a position where he could just kind of just kill me, but he ended up falling 1 turn short. So that was kind of like balanced out the situation when in round 4 when I fell 1 turn short of winning.
Yeah.
So we tied. and I had to win out.
Yeah. So you're 3-1-3, and you have to win the last two. I guess you're
Yep.
feeling kind of anxious at this point, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
And even if you win the last two, I'm guessing your mind's like, there's no guarantee that I'm gonna top, even if I make 3-1-3. How about
Yeah,
what?
it was not a fun place to be.
Oh,
But
I
I
know.
just figured, okay, I'm just gonna go next round, play Pokemon, see what happens.
Yeah. So what happened in round eight?
Round 8, I hit another Turbo Dark, and this one was playing um, Silent Lab and Parallel City,
Oof.
and so that was pretty scary. Silent Lab can mess you up early, and a late game Parallel City plus an N can just really, really devastate you.
Yeah.
So I thought that he had a really good list, and I thought that he made a really good call with those techs because I mean they're good cards and they're really strong against Mega Ray, and there actually ended up being a lot of Mega Ray at the tournament. Like everyone from Florida ended up running Mega Ray, a majority of Florida players. There was my team, which kind of we ran the Espeon version. Then
Hmm.
there's a whole bunch of other people who independently decided Mega Ray was the play, and I think they all ran the Jolteon version. But yeah, so I played against this Turbo Dark, and both games he took it down to like having game on board for next turn, but then I would like top deck Ultra Ball and just do Mega Ray things and blow them up. That was the gist of it.
Uh,
But they were really close games, and there were definitely some lucky breaks. Like he had some bad max elixirs and stuff. So
yeah.
also I didn't mention this, but I opted to run. As you see in my list, I opted to run all colorless basic Rayquaza
Yeah.
because intensifying burn situations just come up sometimes. Sometimes doing 60 to Pokemon EX is solid. We found it pretty useful against Seismitoad, and actually Xander Bennett put me on to that logic, and I ended up testing it and liking it. But that matchup, I used Intensifying Burn 5 times across 2 games.
Oof.
One game, my first deck search, I found out I had 2 Skyfields prized, and he caught me with a Silent Lab out, and he bumped my Skyfield with Silent Lab. I had one left in the deck, and just like my only draw was Pokemon draw in
Huh.
hand, so I ended up using 2 Mega Rayquazas to team up Intensifying Burn and KO. I think it was an Eveltal, so I could take 2 prizes and have a shot at hitting one of the 2 Skyfields that were in there. I figured that was my best shot at winning, and it worked. And I got a Skyfield and was able to get back on track from there. But yeah, Intensifying Burn was very clutch this weekend. I'm glad that I played that Rayquaza EX instead of the Dragon one.
Wow. You
So
uh, so you win there. It seems kind of it was a kind of a close matchup. It seems.
yeah, and it was close. I ended up winning 2-0, but both games were really close. So it could like we if we had dropped if I had dropped either one of those games, if I had whiffed what I needed one turn, he would have killed me, and then we probably would have ended up tying.
Yeah.
But
So last round of the day. How do you feel?
tired.
Figured as much. But what did you play in round nine?
Last round of the day, I played up against the mirror match, my first mirror of the day, and not was not super thrilled to be seeing that matchup because it's such a crapshoot.
Was it someone from your group playing the Espeon variant as well?
No, it wasn't like a 60 card mirror. It was like a probably a 58 card mirror, something like that.
Oh, they're
He
like,
was
dude,
playing Jolteon,
yeah.
um, but I won the coin flip, so I had about a 75% chance of winning the match just from that.
That's how
That's
it
just how
goes.
that's just how the matchup goes. It's such a dumb mirror. So what ended up happening was, it's such a fast back and forth mirror, but it's also a mirror that takes a really long time because if you play 3 games, you do a lot of actions on your first couple turns.
Yeah.
So it just eats up the clock. Every trainer's mail, battle compressor, Colress for 16, it takes up time.
Ugh.
Um, So anyway, game one, I got some stuff going, and I hexed him. He just struggled to get anything happening. I ended up winning game one pretty convincingly, although it got a little bit gross because I couldn't I couldn't get any basic energy going, so I had to use 2 DCE on my on the attacking Mega Ray. So I ended up going up 4 prizes. I had 1 DCE in the discard from a zero sick, and I had 1 DCE prize, and I was really, really uncomfortable with that situation. But I had no choice. If I wanted to keep up the pressure, I had to invest just the DCEs because I couldn't manage to hit the basic energy. So he ends up knocking out my Mega Ray with the DCEs. I have no DCEs left, and I I mean, I knew I had the basic energy in the deck still, but it just was a scary situation. I had to manually set up a new Mega Ray with at least 2 Mega Turbos. I had to get all 3 Psychics onto 1 Mega Ray in one turn to return the KO, and I ended up pulling it off because Colress for 16 is good. But I mean, it's one of those scary situations where I had to make this kind of risky early play to capitalize on the advantage I was building with the turn one hex, but then it kind of put me into a tenuous spot. Um, I don't even remember game two. I lost that one pretty bad. I don't remember. I think I just whiffed some stuff. Um, and then game three, I was tired and I was hungry and I was dumb, and I made just the worst mistake you can make with Mega Ray. I was playing, I was doing all my stuff, and I was getting ready to go off, and I benched a Hoopa, it was my fifth bench spot, and I grabbed some Pokemon, and I realized I didn't have Skyfield in play, and I didn't have access to Skyfield,
Oh.
and it no, it was embarrassing. That was a
Ah.
really embarrassing play. But in the mirror match, you get so used to just Skyfield always being there. No one's bumping Skyfield. But that was really bad, and so then I'm like, oh, I guess I just can't do anything. I have a hand I can't really play with anymore because I need these Shaman,
Yeah.
but I can't bench them. And he had a really like clunky start, and so he ended up not being able to punish me for it.
That's always nice.
But I should have lost that game, um, because it was ugly, and that was a really bad mistake to make.
Yeah, but as the saying goes, we take those.
Yeah,
Sometimes you feel
that's
like a little bad taking them, but you take them. Sometimes.
yeah. And I ended up rallying and getting everything going, and I won on turn three of time. So
Whew, that's always the most nerve-wracking, winning on game three of time. But yeah, you managed to go 4-1, 5-1-4.
5-1-3.
Oh, yeah, 5-1-3. My bad. My bad. This is 9 rounds, not 10. So 5-1-3, and then what seed were you going to? What seed were you? And did you make top 32?
So I was worried. I was worried that 18 points was borderline.
Yeah.
Um, two of my previous opponents were both on lock for top 32. Christian Ortiz and William Herman,
Mm-hmm.
both on lock for top 32. So I felt like if 18s made it, I had a good chance because they were my resistance.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know what to expect. And actually ended up with a lot of 18s made it. I think like 12 18s made it. There were a lot of ties this tournament.
That's nice.
So I ended up getting in the top 32 at 25th seed.
Wow. For a minute, I thought you like make like 30th seed or something like that.
Yeah, 25th. It was not amazing, but we take those.
Yeah. So I'm guessing you just go back to the hotel, eat, and just go to bed, right?
Pretty much
Yeah.
shower.
Shower, do hygienic stuff.
Yeah, basic
Which
functions.
yeah, which everyone should do. You know who I'm talking to. Anyway,
Man, I don't know who you're talking to.
I'm not talking to you. I'm just talking.
Every opponent I played against was hygienic and friendly.
Oh, 95% of my opponents are too, but every once in a while you just like walk across that person and go, "Whoa, you did not shower today." But
Anyway,
um, going to top 32, what did you face in round 10 or round 1 of top 32? What do you want to
I'll
call
give
it?
I'll give you the Cliff Notes version because it's not very interesting from here.
Okay.
I played against two Turbo Darks. I played against an Eveltable. Those are all good matchups, and
Uh-huh.
I lost two and tied one.
Oof.
After going 3-0-1 against Darkness decks on day one, I went. No, I ended up going 1-2 or yeah 1-2-1 on day two, and it was just bad things happening. Like I got a Getsus for five, and I drew dead off of it, and that happens. I'm not gonna get mad about that,
Yeah.
especially because earlier the previous day I got Getsus and ended up taking item cards that I couldn't play out of my hand, so I could set up for more. So when a Getsus helps you win the game, you can't really get mad about a Getsus loses you the game.
Yeah.
So like I had like bad Getsuses and like just like I would do a nice like against Turbo Dark. I don't even think he was running like the Silent Lab Parallel City version. I don't remember, but he would or I would like played out a bunch of cards, set up, draw like five, and then they were all unplayable cards, and I just kind of sat around. So I got 2-0'd by Turbo Dark, and it was just a lot of just bad stuff happening. I went two I went 1-2 against Eveltal Maxis, and it was like one game just I don't know. I drew dead, and then one game he got up an Archeops, and that's that.
Yeah.
You can deal with Archeops. Like you essentially need to set up a turn where you can um, hex and then drop two Mega Rays. You need one Spirit Link and then one doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, you usually just win off the back of those two Mega Rays. But I was just that game couldn't make it happen. Um, and then I tied against another Turbo Dark that I probably would have won given four more turns, but couldn't quite pull it together.
Yeah. So did you play your last match in top 32 or no?
Yeah, I played it out. I ended up playing. So I lost those matches, which I considered pretty good matchups,
Um,
and then I won two matchups I really had no business winning. I played against an Eveltal Zoroark Gallade deck and expanded, and it was actually a pretty good list for the tournament. He was running triple Fright Knight, which that's scary.
Oh wow. This
He
guy
was running I think Parallel City, and he was running Gallade and everything, so he could just play the non-EX war. Zoroark was threatening. Parallel City sucks. Triple Fright Knight is some bullshit.
What was your reaction when you saw like the third of like Fright Night? What was your reaction?
I was just like, I'm too tired for this. I think he ultra balled for it and put it down, and I just said, oh, put it back.
I was just going, oh god damn it, really?
Because I like to joke around with my opponents
Yeah,
as long as they're a little bit friendly. I always joke around with them.
yeah.
When my opponent flips heads on the third crushing hammer of three, I'm just like, that's just rude. That game actually, for the first time all weekend, I misplayed against Fright Knight, and I forgot what Fright Knight did, and I mega evolved and ended my turn accidentally.
Oh,
Like I was always super careful to play around Fright Knight properly, and the whole weekend because I played against four dark decks,
yeah.
but this time I just screwed it up, but I ended up having a huge play where I was able to set up a Mega Ray out of nowhere. I didn't have a Rayquaza on the bench even. I was able to set up a Mega Ray out of nowhere with three with two Mega Turbos and a basic Psychic, and I was able to hex him so I could Mega Evolve and attack that same turn. It was a really involved play I had to pull off, but I ended up like getting the Mega Ray, getting the tool attached, rushing in, uh, Hex, Mega Evolve, double Mega Turbo, attach, free retreat because I had hexed, Emerald Break, knock him out, take his only attacker off the board,
Yeah.
and he has to promote Lone Jirachi. And I had one prize left. I had a brand new fresh Mega Ray, and he had just a Jirachi on board. And he plays Super Rod, puts Oblivion Wing Yveltal back in the deck, computer searches for it, Lysander's my egg, and kills me. I'm like, okay, that's after that crazy play I pulled off, I can't even be mad. But yeah, I got lucky the next two games. He ended up just having a dead start one game, and I donked him. And I mean, I got lucky, and I stole the set.
Yeah. So that
And
was.
then
Oh, go
I
ahead.
beat Mega. I'm sorry, I beat Rainbow Road in round 14, which I also had no business winning, but through a combination of luck and bullshit, I managed to pull it off.
Isn't it Pokemon in general though?
That's a reasonable statement.
I'm mostly joke when I say that though. But so your final score at the end of the day was I believe
Bad.
I
I don't know.
uh so your score in top 32 was 2-1 2-1
Uh,
2-2-1, correct?
correct.
So that
So I
would
guess it would be 7-3-4
7-3-4. That's
or
not horrible.
23rd place overall. I whiffed the top 16 in the box,
Ah,
so I only got 24 packs.
only 24 packs.
Well, a box you can sell. No one wants to buy loose packs.
True.
So I went to locals the next day and I won 3 packs because I won a little 3-round local tournament. So I brought them all home. I opened my 27 packs, hoping to pull an Umbreon or a Glaceon. I did not,
Oh,
but I did pull 2 Mew and 4 Ns. So
hey,
good enough.
good enough. So I noticed that throughout the entire tournament, not once did you play against the Primal Groudon match. How did you feel at the end of the tournament, just looking back, like, wait, I did not play Groudon once that entire tournament. How did you feel?
I didn't even see a Groudon. I didn't see a Groudon around me. I didn't hear anyone say Gaia Volcano in my vicinity. Like I'm not sure there was a Groudon at the tournament. Real talk. If there was, I certainly was not in top 32.
Wow.
And honestly, I wasn't too upset about that. The Espeon could have been something else, but I wasn't like there aren't a lot of. It could have been like a third Hoopa, and that could have been good, but it wouldn't have mattered in very many situations. Espeon was pretty low. It was relatively low impact on my deck overall. It was. I needed another basic anyway because like it's just that magic number. I think I ran 13 basics.
Yeah.
We tested the number of basics for getting the consistent math. If you prize a couple, what happens? And we found that, however, I think we ended up running 13. We decided that was like the bare minimum we could afford to run. So we needed the other basic anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And Espeon, it's a free retreat basic. It's not going to lose you the game if you start with it. You already run Koopa and Shaman and Jirachi that you could open with. So
Actually, Espeon has a 1 retreat cost.
yeah, that's what I said, isn't it?
You said free retreat cost, I believe.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my bad.
If not, someone will point out in the comment section, or probably, maybe, I don't know, and tell me I'm wrong. But regardless, so Espeon didn't really end up mattering too much, but at the same time, it's always nice to have one more Pokemon in there. So
Yeah, like it had to be something, and there were definitely better Pokemon that I could have run if I had known I wasn't going to see any Groudon. But at the same time, at no point did I think like, oh, I started this fucking Espeon and it lost me the game. I mean, I just benched it and it did 30 extra damage with Emerald Break, and Espeon's my favorite Pokemon too as like an added bonus. So it was always fun just dropping an Espeon on the bench. And the opponent's like, oh geez, I have to read this.
it's always nice to make your opponent read shit. But
so yeah, if I could go back, obviously I wouldn't have run it. I would figure out something else to run. I guess I would maybe consider running the Jolteon. The free retreat makes it a better starter than Espeon.
Yeah.
But I don't regret running the Espeon. Like I was, I had no real way of predicting how Groudon would happen, and we all liked having a little security blanket. So
Yeah. I personally would not really worried about Groudon too much because like I think the reason why you don't really see Groudon that you guys didn't see that Groudon at all is because Groudon has to play four tropical beaches. Not many
yeah,
people can have four tropical beaches or even can like get four tropical beaches. Like with my I only had three tropical beaches and like with my whole entire group, whenever someone wants beaches, I'm the person they go to. So I think like three is the maximum for a lot of people in a lot of groups. It seems.
yeah, we figured that if we saw Groudon, it would probably just be mostly be a factor in day two.
Yeah.
But we figured we're in it to win it, and we don't want to drop a day two or a top cut match against Groudon.
Okay. So
It might have it might have been overly cautious metagaming because I don't recall Groudon having a huge splash in week one. But like I said, we thought about it, and there weren't enough alternatives to Espeon that made a big enough impact overall for us to feel like we wanted to give up the security blanket.
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. So did anyone uh else with you that run this deck did anyone else do well with this deck?
Just me, unfortunately.
Ah,
They ran into some weirder matchups. I think two or three of them hit multiple mirror matches, and I was lucky and only hit the one. And the mirror match is very just coin flip dependent, so that kind of messed them up. And I don't remember. It was such a long day. I talked to so many people, but no, they didn't quite pull it off.
so you're the only one with this list that made top 32. So
Which felt good because I felt mixed because I was the one who convinced them all to play Mega Ray.
yeah,
And so it felt cool, like convincing them all to play it, and and ending up topping with it. But it also felt kind of bad convincing them all to play a deck that they didn't top with.
yeah. Uh, but hey, it's stuff like that happens all the time. So
Pokemon.
yeah, but it seems like overall you had fun and you got 30 championship points out of them 24 packs. And I believe last time we talked, you only had like the championship points from that state. So how many championship points are you sitting at now? Like about 100?
You said I got 30.
Yeah, from the top
Okay,
32.
so I should have 80. I played in two events. Last time we talked, I played in one event. This time I played in two.
So hey, it's 80 points a lot other people don't have.
More importantly, I locked down my nationals invite. I got those play points. I am good to go for nationals.
Play points is something a lot of people don't have to worry about, but hey, some people have to worry about that. So I'm guessing you're probably going to nationals and try to see maybe if you can squeak in your invite somehow.
um, I basically need to win nationals to get my invite.
Yeah.
Um, we'll see about making nationals happen. Honestly, I have a I have a friend and research collaborator coming in from Europe,
Wow.
and so he's going to be in town for for like 3 weeks that overlaps the nationals period.
Hmm.
So I might not be able to make it because I'm going to be dealing with him.
Uh,
But I'm looking into the possibility of attending Canadian nationals instead.
I thought for like a nationals of any kind, you had to belong to like that to have to be a citizen of that nation.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm still working figuring that out. I think you might be able to attend Canadian nationals, and then you subsequently can't attend U.S. nationals.
Ah.
I know in the past, in the past, you've been able to attend Canadian nationals. I'm looking into the details. It's just an idea I'm kind of half considering, but it's held. It's going to be held in the same city where I have a bunch of family. So
Ah. Okay.
kind of so if I could make it up to Canada, odds are I'd have a place to stay, and so it wouldn't be too hard to get to make a lot of those logistics work. I just kind of have to book the flight and find the time.
All right, all right.
So I mean, who knows? This is just an idea that I'm tossing around. I have to look into the viability, but it'd be fun.
Yeah. Well, I hope you can go to Canada Nationals or just the Nationals in general. And thank you once again for sharing this list with you. This list is fairly unique, and it's always nice seeing unique stuff
It's
do pretty well.
it's not that unique. It's
Well,
it's like one tech card that's unique.
well, true, but it's still like one tech card you don't really see that often, which is I
Like
love it personally. I like
real
unique stuff.
talk. Shout out to Ryan Peterson because this is basically his list from Florida Regionals. I just metagamed a little bit differently with my techs,
Right.
but so I mean the list ran really smoothly. Puzzle time was beautiful and pulled off a lot of big plays with it. Um, Skyla was amazing, and I highly recommend it to people who are playing Mega Ray and Expanded. I tested Getsus, it didn't really make enough of an impact. Skyla was amazing,
But
but yeah, I mean the deck was super fun. I was really happy with it. I would have been happier with it if I'd gotten to use the Espeon, but
but that's just how this game goes sometimes. Sometimes you like tech too much for something, and then you just end up not playing, running into it. But stuff like that happens all the time. But once again, thank you for doing this interview with me, and thank you for sharing us your list.
glad to share it. I posted up on Burbank, so
Yeah. And thank you for everyone who tuned in today. Please like, subscribe, all that and all that fun stuff. And I'll probably be doing more interviews in the future. And if you're curious about the interview, uh, me and Kyle did a while back with his States run, that should be in the description as well. So thank you, everybody. Please like, subscribe, all this stuff. And I shall see you guys hopefully next time.